Hi there, folks. Simon here. This is the 2022 TAC Championship Tournament. This is the semifinals, Game 2 between Abyss and alion02. In Game 1, we saw Abyss come back from behind with a killer victory as black, and now we're going to see Game 2 where alion02 is black, and we'll see if he can tie things up. Again, this is a 4-game match, so there are plenty of games to play, and it is still up in the air here. And just like every game in this tournament, they are played on a 6x6 board, and the time limit is 15 minutes, and there is a 15-second increment, meaning 15 seconds gets added to your clock after every turn. And we are playing with 2 komi, meaning that if the game does not end in a road, black gets 2 added to their flat count score. So, we are going to be seeing 2 of the top players in the world here for TAC going head-to-head, and I do need to point out that just like in the previous video, this is not me watching the game live. These are not my settings for visuals. This is a recording that alion02 made for me so that I could do the commentary on this video. I wasn't able to make it because it was at a time when I couldn't make it. So I am giving the commentary here, but we are seeing it from alion02's perspective. He is moving the pieces, and you'll see that on the board. I am not moving the pieces. This is him playing. I am watching this live. This is the first time I've seen it, so I don't know how it turns out. So this is a genuine live commentary of the match, just as if I were watching it in person as it happened. So let's jump right into Game 2 of this TAC Championship semifinals match. All right, and so we see right away, it's just a very, very quick opening with the hug opening, which is something that we've seen a lot out of alion02 recently. He has been a big proponent of the hug opening. That's where you place your opponent's flat piece right next to your own when you're black. So white places black's piece in the corner, and then black places white's piece right next to it. And that is a way to sort of get in the mix of your opponent and kind of keep them sort of next to you, keep them close, sort of that keep your friends close and your enemies closer kind of bit, I guess. But we are seeing Abyss kind of going with it. He had a plan for this hug opening. He immediately played over there at b5, and black playing over at c3 kind of threw him a little bit, and that's why he took a little while to play, but he did drop that capstone at c4. Now, this capstone is in a great spot for a few reasons. The capstone, it follows a lot of the guidelines that we talk about in the capstones video of TAC University. So it is centrally located, it's played fairly early, and it's played first, which is great in, we are coming to find out that playing your capstone first as white is actually really strong and pretty good. So it is something that we're seeing a lot more of lately. People play that capstone first as white. But it's also connecting, sort of. It's close to connecting to those flat stones that white already has placed, going for that horizontal. It's also blocking off black's ability to go for the vertical, and black wants to go for the horizontal. If they do that, white's got the capstone right there to come down onto c3 and interrupt that. So white's capstone is in a really strong position right here, and yeah, positionally it's just really good. I can't think of a position where black could place a flat or a capstone that would put them ahead at this point in the game. So really good positioning right now for Abyss. That's probably why it's taking alion02 so long to play this move. We are seeing Abyss at 15 minutes and alion02 just below 14. So already taking significantly more time than in previous game. We saw Abyss take a ton of time in the early game, and he was very, very low on time for a lot of that game 1. But it looks like we may be seeing the opposite here with alion02. So he is taking a bit of time trying to figure out what the best move is to make here. And, oh yeah, we are watching from his perspective in terms of that's where his mouse is moving and all that. I forgot about that. I'm watching the video. I'm commentating on it as if I were watching it live. But yes, I am watching from his eyes, I guess. I wish I could hear his thoughts, particularly when I'm playing a tournament match. It'd be great to hear his thoughts because he is better. Okay, so still trying to figure out what to make here. I'm interested by that. Is he going to drop a flat right next to his... Yeah, he is going to drop a flat next to his at D3, which I think is a good spot. I don't know if I would have liked D3 or B3 more here. D3 probably is better. Just because B3 allows white to drop it at D3 and kind of cut off your ability to make that horizontal, which is the only thing you've got because white has that vertical already on the left-hand side. So even if you were able to build up there, you couldn't. And so if white starts to build for the vertical on the left-hand side, you can build for the vertical on the right-hand side and not be blocked off. Yeah. So there's a lot going on for this, but I do still feel like white is in such a strong position here if he knows how to hold on to it, basically. I wonder if we're going to see something like a B3 flat for white. And right as I say it, he drops a flat at B3. And so this is really good because black is going for this horizontal, and it's the only thing they got going right now, and dropping a flat at B3 cuts off that horizontal right away, but it also allows white to go for this vertical, connecting B5 to B4, B3. And B4 is great because he doesn't need to drop anything there. The only way that black will be able to drop something at B4 to stop white from building that threat would be dropping a capstone at B4 to keep that capstone of white from smashing a wall or capturing a flat on B4. So white can continue to place probably down at B2 and go for this vertical threat and continue to cut off black's horizontal. And that's what I would do here is place a white flat at B2 to cut off black's advances. Black would be basically a step behind this whole time. And it would be forcing black to make some concessions later on to go for moves that wouldn't be necessarily perfectly in line with them making threats, at least not immediately. And so what that would do is it would stretch white's momentum and their sort of tempo advantage a little bit. And we did talk about momentum in the TAC University video called Momentum. So be sure to check that out. All the TAC University videos are really great, especially for newer players, to get a handle on some basic TAC strategy. We do see that white plays at B4 here. Now, this is the other move that I was considering besides B2. I feel like B2 might be better, but B4 is good for a couple other reasons. B4 works towards that vertical threat that we were talking about with that B2 placement, but it also is working for that horizontal threat that connects to that capstone going right, maybe at D4. And so this is working for both of those at the same time. It's not really... Oh, interesting. What black builds a citadel. But anyway, that white flat at B4 isn't committing to any one direction. It's staying open to either the vertical or the horizontal. Now, black building a citadel here, I don't know about this. It's an interesting play. Black immediately drops a wall. Does not want this to happen. Okay. Huh. Now, as white, do you shift gears immediately and go straight for D4? I feel like you should probably switch and go to D4. But if you go D4, what does black do? Does black go E4? Maybe with a capstone? Now, white hasn't fully committed to any direction yet. They have 3 going in one direction, 4 going in another direction. They can switch gears, go for that horizontal now. Black dropping that wall, especially dropping a wall before dropping their own capstone. That's an interesting play. Now, dropping a capstone at B1, not a great play because it's right there at the edge of the board. A number of reasons we talk about in the capstones video of TAC University. But Ooh, so black drops a flat here at a1. Now this is interesting because if white wants to go for this horizontal, or sorry, this vertical, he'll want to drop a flat at b6 before capturing down with a2. And maybe even dropping a flat at b6 and a3. Yeah. But he's going to go for the d4 placement, which I feel like is strong. Black finally dropping that capstone down, was waiting for that d4 placement to drop the capstone, which I find interesting. I feel like if he didn't drop at d4, we may have seen a capstone drop at d4 from black to sort of cut white's capstone off from that half of the board, and also to go for that vertical line that he's going for here, and keep white from interrupting that with a capstone. So now, as white, you got to think, all right, what is my play here? How do I make this work? Do I play up at d5 to go around him? Do I play up at e5 to go around him? Does go for the e5. Black gonna play at d5 right away, very quickly. Very quick decision there. We are seeing that now Abyss is behind by about a minute on time, whereas before he had almost 2 minutes on alion02. And so that increment kicking in, and also Alion just playing quicker at this stage of the game. I am thinking that... So black is clearly going for this vertical line. Now as white, you could just play up at d6, and that will work towards going for your horizontal threat, and work towards blocking black's vertical threat at the same time. I feel like that works just fine with no issue. Yeah, d6 works pretty well. c5, I feel like, is a little too passive. d6 does both the offensive and the defensive that you want in attack move. That's why I feel like I prefer that one. And we're looking at alion02 is even hovering. He hovered the mouse over d6 for a second, just kind of expecting that he's going to place there, is what I'm guessing at least. But white could play elsewhere, could decide to switch gears back to that vertical again and go for the b6 placement, could place over at f5. F5 I feel like is the weakest of the options, because let's say f5 drops. Oh. Okay, c1 is not what I expected here, but I understand a little bit of what he's going for. It looks like white is planning on bringing that capstone at c4 down onto c3 to try and make that connection. But he needs that b6 placement first, and black has momentum here. Black's going to be able to place up at d6 and make the threat. So white's capstone does come down to c3, but black can place at d6 to make the threat first. White can interrupt that for sure in a number of different ways. Black also may decide to bring that capstone left, because if he doesn't bring the capstone left, one of the ways that white can cut off black's threat is to come down with d4. Now, if he takes that white flat at d4 and brings it down to d3 in a move d4 minus, that cuts off black's threat and also works towards white's horizontal, and also semi-isolates black's capstone. That would be a strong move here. I feel like the d4 minus move, which is d4 coming down to d3. d4 minus is portable tack notation, or PTN. It's off the left-hand side of the screen there. It is how we record tack moves and tack games, and there's a video on it in Tack University. So check out the PTN, or portable tack notation video on Tack University. White's got to do something here, and I feel like that d4 minus is the move, and he does make d4 minus. This is where I feel like that capstone of Black's is not in a good position anymore. I feel like White set this up in advance, thinking and expecting Black to play up at d6 so he could bring that d4 minus move down. And so he could sort of isolate that Black capstone. And he doesn't have to worry about any reprisal immediately from Black, because if Black were to capture onto d3, White's capstone is right there to recapture and save that. We can see Alion's thought process here. He's thinking about that capstone coming down onto c2, making that threat, or playing at b6 first. So he knows that all these moves that White wants to play are good, and he's thinking, how in the world do I stop this from happening? Which is something you got to think about right now, because White's position is very strong. If I'm Black, I might be playing up at b6 right now. B6 works for a number of reasons, and I will explain them. So B6 cuts off White's ability to place up there at the top for the vertical threat. B6 also doesn't need to, you don't really need to worry about White's horizontal at the moment, because Black's capstone is right there at E4, ready to come down onto E3 if White were to place it E3 or F3 or something like that and go for the horizontal that way. Black's got the capstone there. It's ready to come down, ready to pounce. Doesn't need to worry about that. But White does have that vertical that's a lot more of an issue right now. Sure, he's got that wall at B1 that can come up onto B2, but that is not going to cut it for the whole time. He's going to have to think of other things to do. And I feel like from here, White should probably play up at B6. Black playing at b6 made a lot of sense because it cuts off that and goes for their own horizontal threat at the top of the board, which is always a good play to have multiple threats going on. Black playing at e2 is going for the vertical threat for Black. Okay, White does play at b6. This is now attack threat for White. Black has two moves here, or three moves, sorry. Black can capture onto c1 with either c2 or d1, probably c2. Black can capture up onto b2 with b1, with the wall, or can make a sort of non-committal move by doing a6 right onto b6. That one is just a delay that doesn't really accomplish anything other than shift that the necessary move by one. I feel like the wall move is most likely. That is what he goes for. Now from here, White can do a number of different things, but none of them are going to give him attack threat. I feel like a flat placement at A3 is good. A flat placement at E3, maybe. The problem with E3 is that you know Black's capstone is going to come down onto E3 if you place there. And what that's doing is that's creating an opportunity for Black to be able to capture onto D3 and recover that captive. And that is not what you want at this point, especially because recovering that captive is also making attack threat for Black. So you have to think about, what will Black do if I do X? And so E3, that one results poorly. But Black has momentum here. Black is going to be able to make attack threat quicker than White will be able to. Unless White makes, for example, a bad move, like C1 plus. Yes, that makes attack threat. No, it doesn't further the game in your agenda very much because it's just so quickly shut down. So you don't want that to happen. That's something you don't want. You could make a capture down with D3 to also make a attack threat. Also a bad decision here because it would be quickly recaptured. Not only be recaptured, but it would also make attack threat. And you can use... you wouldn't be able to protect it with your wall because that would lead to a road threat. a road rather. But yeah, it would lead to a threat of your own, and then also, yeah, it wouldn't be great. Let's just say that. So he brings the capstone down, which is one thing that I was wondering about, but didn't think that was a good play because you know that that wall is going to move immediately to stop from being crushed. And that's exactly what happens. We see that wall move. Now here, I might be thinking a placement at A3, maybe A4 even. A3 I like because it also works towards white's horizontal in addition to that vertical threat. But the problem you have here is that black is able to place at E3 or at D4 and make attack threat. I don't know which one of those is more likely. Probably... I don't know. They feel pretty equal to me. But white is instead playing over at B2. So the B2 placement is interesting to me because that one does go for the horizontal and does go for the vertical. I see that, but it's not dealing with the issue of that wall there on B4, and it's not dealing with the issue of black's new threat. So okay, white's fine bringing that capstone over, it seems. Black can renew by placing at E1 or by placing at D4. Either of those renews the threat. Not in a very strong way, though. So he may think about, okay, so he's going to be dropping at D4. Really wants to keep the pressure on white. And if he can keep that pressure on long enough, he might be able to come up with a good play and a good move that might bring him ahead. But I'm not seeing it yet. Not just yet. Now, if I'm white, I can't play... It's probably going to be E5 left. Because I can't play a flat at E1. I might drop a wall at E1 if I want to be extra safe here. But it would result probably in just a flat placement at F2. I feel like E1... Yeah, E5 left makes a little bit more sense here. Because it cuts it off for more turns. And white wants to get that momentum back. And now, what white's done is they've got an open stack there that's ready to be captured by one of black's pieces, or black can build around at E5 now. But it's bought white a little bit more time to build for that vertical threat on the left-hand side, kind of going for that edge crawl. And if he buys enough time, he can get that thing moving. And I think that now, let's see, 1, 2, 3. 3 moves for white. 1, 2, 3. 3 moves for black. So black, I believe, still does have momentum here. Because black can make attack threat on the following turn. White, on the other hand, cannot. And also, so he's playing this flat here at E5. He's not capturing. Playing the flat is a lot better than capturing here because you want to get those resources down. You want to play those reserves, get those flats on the board, then you can use them to better your flat count for the later game. But also, you want to have more pieces to work with, more resources that you can use to make stronger captures. if he had just captured down or captured up with a flat on that stack at d5, it would have just resulted in white dropping a wall there, or even throwing a capstone all the way up to the top to recover those captives and to sort of wreak havoc. Probably not throwing the capstone up, that would have been bad. But dropping a wall there to recover those flats, that would have been a strong play. And so definitely avoiding that by dropping a flat here at e5. And he doesn't have to capture onto d5 either. He can just play up at e6 with another flat to make that threat. And if he does play up at e6 to make that threat, that white stack on d5 can't really do much about it. If it comes right, he can just place another flat again at d5. If it comes down, it's probably worthwhile to capture it with the capstone at that point, because there are so many captives underneath that can be liberated. So we're seeing Abyss take quite a bit of time now. And I was talking about their time earlier, but now we're seeing Abyss down to 4 minutes on the clock. alion02 is up at 10 minutes. That is a 6-minute buffer that alion02 has built up here, because Abyss takes so much time in this early game. And he did this in the previous game as well. He played very slowly early on, and then played on the increment for however many turns it was, probably over 20 turns, playing just on that 15-second increment. There were times when he was below 10 seconds on the clock, I think, and he was still able to come out on top and win, because he is accustomed to building up his foundations in this early game and then playing quickly at the very end. Whereas alion02 actually had quite a bit of time by the end of the game. I think that the time shifted. So alion02 had, I think, something like 6 or 7 minutes on Abyss at one point, and then ended up dropping below Abyss on time, and maybe not as accustomed to playing on that short time scale like Abyss is. I mean, certainly not as accustomed to it, because Abyss has been playing for several years, and alion02 has been playing for just over a year at this point, at the time of recording. So, okay, white just playing at c2, sort of daring black to play up at e6. I think that's the play, is to play at e6. He's going back a few moves, trying to just check things out. I think what white is expecting to do is white is expecting to capture right with the capstone on d2 once black plays at e6, which would effectively neuter black's threat. I think he's looking at that option. He was about to play at e6 right away, but now he's taking a look. Okay, so he played at c2. What's his plan? What's his deal? What's he going for? What is he going for? Ooh, you know what would be cool? Okay. So, he doesn't have the time for this. Not enough time for it. But it would be great if he could play, if white could get a flat on c3 and hold off black's threat, then he can move 2b3 right onto c3 to make a dual-pronged threat going up or going right, and I think that would be Tinue. But again, he would have to do that after cutting off black's vertical threat, which is probably 3d2 right at this point, which is the capstone coming right onto e2. So he'd have to come right, then drop a flat on c3, then hope black doesn't do something that keeps him from making that 2b3 right move, which would be risky. but it would be very interesting to see if that worked. So he does bring the capstone right. Okay, now this... Oh, this is a threat. That's sneaky. This is a sneaky, sneaky threat. And the reason why this is sneaky is because you would have to leave behind one black flat on d5, take that d5 stack, just take the top two, drop one white flat on d4, and then bring the following top black flat and drop it onto d3. This is a tack threat, and one that I didn't see right away, because I was thinking, oh, well, if he wants to throw that stack down, he obviously is going to bring the whole stack up, drop one, and then drop two. No. That's not how that works. Because he could do that, but that's not the winning move. White sees it, brings that flat down. Black throws a1 up to stop the tack threat. So white could play here at a3 to renew their own tack threat in two directions. That's got to be what black is expecting here, for white to play at a3. Then probably that wall stack on b4 comes down, because black knows that white can't throw that capstone left at all. It would lead to a road for black. So white's going to drop that wall first before he does anything like that, which is smart. Very, very smart. Now black is dropping a wall right below it to capture onto d2. And he knows that white can't smash the wall after it captures d2, because that would lead to a road for black. Smart plays. He can, however, smash if white brings the wall up onto d5 first. So if white now, in their 1 minute on the clock to think about this, brings that wall up onto d5, then white is free to smash on d2 once that wall comes down, because he's cut off the threat. And that's what he does. He brings up the wall, preparing for black to bring that wall down. Now, black might play up at e6 now to retain the pin. Might bring the wall down right away and allow that smash to happen. He does bring the wall down. Now, is white going to smash right away? I feel like the smash has to happen here. He would be leaving behind 4 black flats, but they don't really have anywhere to go. Black would probably drop them down onto e1, which would make a threat in the vertical direction. White captures right onto e2, black spreads them left. That's probably how that would happen, which would ultimately work out pretty well for black. White's just going to let it happen, apparently, and then just play at a3 here, which is a vertical tack threat. Dropping a flat at a4 would be a road. That wall movement is almost daring white to make the smash move with the capstone. That feels like a dare. That feels like, please come get me. But white... Wait, what just happened? Oh, so he hasn't made the full move yet. That's what I thought he had, and I thought there was a huge stack there on c2. My mistake. I was totally misreading it because it was mid-move. Okay, now that is... Ooh, that might still be daring him to do that. Oh, does he want to smash? Oh, I want to smash it. Oh, he's going to throw his flats right. Not making any captures with that, but he's opening that up. I am so confused why he made that move. I guess he wants more material close to black's threat so that he can cut that off. But see, now he's got the problem that... Ugh. See, now he can't smash anything. He can't move that capstone left because it would lead to a road for black. So white would have to cut that off. And if he cuts that off with D5, then black is able to smash that stack on D5 or on E5, sorry. And that would be problematic. All right, so black playing at d4 in response to white's c5, which is smart because it looks like black is now able to make a road here. So white's got to cut that off, and he does so by capturing left with the capstone. Oh, but this is tricky because black can play now at e2 to renew the threat. And then if white captures right with the d5 to stop this, then black's going to smash that for sure. He's going to drop a wall. Black can play at f1 or f2 here. f2 is what's played. White, are you going to drop a flat at f1? Okay, so this is sort of a mirror of that position that white had earlier in the game, but on the opposite side. White has options here to cut off a lot of what black wants to do. White's got 47 seconds on the clock. Black just under 8 minutes now. Abyss has been playing under a minute for the past several turns. We're only on turn 28 also. It's not like we're at turn 40 or something where you expect them to be so low on time. No, this is turn 28. Abyss has just run that clock down, but he's made some really good decisions here. Made some strong plays. I don't know about the 2b3 right 1-1 move that he made, spreading that stack out from b3. I don't know about that one. That one's got me thinking that it might have been a mistake. But I wonder if he's going to go for something like a4. Yeah, he drops at a4. He's still building that position up. He can still make a threat by placing at b3. That's attack threat. Black's not going to let him, going to place at b3 instead to keep that from happening, which is a viable move here. Black is sitting on 14 flats with their komi. White has 10, I think. Yeah, 10, which is significant. White does have a +2 move available to bring that within 2. But that's not going to be enough. Ooh. What can black do? I feel like the placement at b3 makes the most sense to me. He doesn't want to capture. When he gets those flats on the board, that way he doesn't have to worry about the flat portion as much. He can just focus on getting those flats on the board, making progress, get more material out there, and increase his flat count. And placing at b3 effectively stops White's threat that he's going for, at least for a few turns. Now, what's the play here? I feel like White might be able to pull something sneaky here. If he blocks, if Black doesn't play a b3, okay, if Black does play a b3, he might still be able to make something sneaky happen. So if he brings over the White, okay, so he does play a b3. So if White brings d5 right and kind of goads that, if he goads Black's capstone into smashing, can he then smash without losing right away? I think so. I think he can. Oh, now I... Oh. Oh, come on. Now, it doesn't matter. So White cannot smash that at A2 at this point. Cannot smash that. It would lead to a road for Black. If White does anything to make it possible for White to smash that, like that, for example, Black is going to take that wall stack and run up with it. Yep. Keep that out of reach of White. Now that's gone. That opportunity is toast. Black knew what he needed to do to make a positive flat count differential move to get even further ahead on flats. That's what he did. Kept it so White would not be able to recover that stack. Now it's even guarded behind what was going on before. Oof. Black now got attack threat already, going from F2 to A3. White throws that wall stack down. That's a good play. I like that play. Sure, Black has the opportunity to capture onto D4, but that White wall stack is pretty solid. It can cut right and make a +3 move. Yeah, I think once that captures, the +3 move can be made, or White can just make attack threat with A1. Because he's got that horizontal line at the bottom with A1. So yeah, that's what he did. Black captured left onto that stack. White dropped at A1. Black's going to take D1 right onto E1 to cut that off. So if he does take it right, D1, if he goes D1, E1, Black's next play could be to spread his capstone out to the right or just drop it at E4, and that would be a vertical and horizontal threat at the same time. Because he could capture right with the then E1 flat. But now alion02 is down to about 4 minutes on the clock. Abyss still at 40 seconds. Playing at about 15 seconds or a little bit less per turn. So he does make the D1 right move. From here, White doesn't have an option to immediately renew any road threats. What he wants to do is probably take that D3 stack and move it right, but he doesn't do it. He instead brings the wall down, and I don't think Black was expecting that. I don't think Alion was expecting that move, so he just drops the E4. Now he's got a horizontal attack threat yet again. White throws the wall all the way left. Yeah, that works. Not expected. Oh, that's an interesting play. So Abyss has to come up with some wild plays here if he wants to get ahead on flats, because he's behind and he needs to make some positive flat count differential moves. And couldn't do that with any of his pieces, so he has to make these wild plays with the walls, with the capstone, if he's going to be able to recover any of these flats. And that's what he's doing. And it's got potential to come back here. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 for black with komi. And 9 for white. But now white has several positive flat count differential moves available. Also important to note, white's capstone cannot move left or right. If it does, black can spread that capstone stack down all the way to D1 and win with a road. So that capstone stack at D2 is sort of pinned where it is, at least in the horizontal direction. Unless white does something about that first, like taking 2c3 right 1-1. If he does that first, then black wouldn't be able to make a road immediately. Black's going to bring that wall down to keep white from spreading that that wall stack around. That makes a lot of sense. That's a good play. Very sensible. White just playing. Is that a threat? I can't tell if there's a white... Yes, there is a white flat underneath E1. I did not see that. So yes, there is a white flat under E1. So this is a tack threat. It's a really strong tack threat, too. Really strong. I think black's going to have to wall at E2. Oh, no, he's got that wall that he can spread down. Never mind. Yeah, that's the play. That's the play here. That's the play. Now I wonder, could you bring 2c3 minus? Like, that would just get recaptured by b2, but because there's a white flat underneath c2, I think. It's hard to tell with the colors that he has picked for his board. And just, well, the angle mostly, more than anything else, because I can't manipulate it. Because I think I have the same colors picked for my board and my pieces. Okay, so he brings the wall stack right, which is what he wanted to do initially. Makes sense. Now he's got the opportunity to make a good positive flat count differential move. Let's see, a +3 move? No, a +4 move. He can make a +4 move here. With that wall. But black also has that capstone that can recover, come right back down onto D3, and make those positive flat count differential moves. So white did make that +4 move right away. Ooh. So it's 12 flats for black, including the komi. 12 for white. So black can place now. Yeah, black can still place and be ahead at 15 or at 13 to 12. But instead he's going to capture down with a capstone just to sort of make doubly sure that he can continue making these positive flat count differential moves. That's a +2 move. So that puts him ahead. White finally moving that capstone left now that he's no longer pinned in from that capstone threatening to make a road. alion02 now down below 2 minutes on the clock. Abyss close to about 50 seconds. Really narrowing that time gap, but it does look like black should be able to win this game unless something crazy happens from Abyss. If Abyss comes up with some crazy moves, some crazy strategies, should be able to win this game. Ooh, if black places at f6, that's a tack threat in the horizontal direction. So if he takes, white side immediately and cut that off. Knew that was going to happen, apparently. But that also works towards white building a road here. Not particularly strong, but it does work towards it. Yeah, I don't know what black can do here. Or I mean, sorry, I don't know what white can do here. My bad. Black seems to be ahead, even though black is now down below a minute on the clock, 45 seconds on the clock, whereas Abyss now is above a minute on the clock. alion02 has finally gotten down to the low time zone that Abyss is so comfortable with. Black spreads that capstone left, making those positive flat count differential moves. White kind of doesn't really have much in the way of threats here. Black can just continue placing flats. Yeah, I don't know that white has any recourse here. He's probably coming to that conclusion as well. I think alion02 already figured it out. He made the count a bunch of times. I could see his mouse moving. Oh my goodness. White makes the move to to bring that capstone down for the hard capstone. I don't think that's going to be enough to solidify this for sure. Because black can move that other wall down. That's not the move I would make here. I would just bring F2 down, maybe. And you could even just bring B, like 3B1 left. 3B1 left also works there. Or smashing your own wall also works. I don't know that I would want to smash the own wall. Yeah, I would bring the wall left onto A1. That makes the most sense to me. And then when white comes left and smashes on A1, then you drop a wall or capstone your way down. Capstoning down makes the most sense. That's a strong play. Now this game is basically over. White... Yes, this is attack threat for black. White's got to come left with that wall to stop it. Black can place at B3 to renew the threat. And that also runs down his reserves. He's only got 2 reserves left. He can also place at D3 to renew the threat. Yeah, D3 placed, so black can throw that capstone right onto D1 to make the road. Can also place at B3 to make the road. Either of those would work. I don't think alion02 is worried about making a road at all. I think he just wants to win on flats now. He wants to just secure that because he's way ahead on flats. And white needs to stop the road at this point. And in order to stop the road, that means that he's got to make moves that are not smashing that A4 stack. And so he had to make that play. Now we're going to see black probably... Oh, just dropping a wall. Just not even concerned. He could have played probably... Is that C3? He could have played 1 C3 right, I think. And been okay. Maybe. Maybe that wall at F3 would have threatened it, but... Yeah, it just drops another wall. Doesn't even worry about flats. He's just styling on him at that point, just trying to drop walls instead of flats to win on flats. But yeah, congratulations to alion02 for winning Game 2 of this semifinals match of the 2022 Tech Championship Tournament. This is now even between Abyss and alion02 after these 2 games. And that was neat. That makes it so both of them have played and won as black. So we have 2 more games in this match, this 4-game match. So it's basically starting over from scratch now. So they'll play another 2 games, and that'll decide who the winner is. If they split those next 2 games, then we will be seeing a second tiebreaker game between these 2 players. Instead of Abyss already played one against Pluto the Brave to get here into the semifinals, so they will be playing another one. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We still got 2 more games to go. But that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is the community hub and where you can find all sorts of TAC resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether that be right here on playtac.com or asynchronously in the Discord. We got plenty of people playing in there. Lots of fun resources there on that Discord server, so be sure to check that out. And thanks again for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.